I know you, me, and I think we need to start with the good crazy of the fullbacks, right? Because fullbacks, we don't talk about enough, but I think that's the place where to start, right? Jordi Alba and Dani Alves. How do you make sense of the glorious journey that Barca's fullbacks took us on yesterday?
I don't know about mixed bag for me, right? I think that the biggest difficulty with Barcelona fullbacks is that people don't expect them to be defenders. And it seems to me that the job of a fullback is, number one, to actually do that weird thing called defending. So you've got, Mingueza, who is a tackling dummy. You've got Serginho Dest, who is just a wreck, right? He's done at Barcelona. And so you've got a guy who could, be his father, right, age-wise, who is the best fullback on that team. That's ridiculous. I mean, I appreciate that he brings what he brings, but when anybody is serious about really attacking that side, he's in trouble. And the only reason they don't attack that side more is because the other side is much easier, right? Because he's not, just a bad defender, but he's gone. And so, yeah, I love the goals, right? I love the goals that both of them knocked in. I mean, that Alba goal was absurd, right? I mean,
maybe the best of his career. Maybe the best of his career.
And that goal was like, 681 friends is nuts. And the Dani Alves goal, that was a veteran reading a moment and reading the match and being exactly where he knew the ball was going to be. But let's not kid ourselves, right? I mean, those two aren't top level fullbacks. I think that every serious opponent has showed that.
I mean, I think the bigger thing about those fullbacks position, and why not say that I defend Jordi Alba in that when you look around world football, fullbacks, if they're a high quality fullback, they're likely playing somewhere else. And so the list of quote unquote top elite fullbacks that Barca want one of those, they're going to cost 50 million euros. Like that's your transfer window is a fullback or two. And Barca in theory need two. And, I don't think Dest was a nightmare yesterday, because I think that when he came on, his sole job was not to help with buildup. It was not to score goals. It was not to get forward. It was just simply to defend. And he was fine. And they were down a man and he defended for his life. And I thought Dest was fine. But again, he was only given one job to do. Meanwhile, Dani Alves was given, which is so essential. And I think the more I thought about it, the positioning of Alves, if you watch those ball progressions, the way that both he and I think Busquets was not great yesterday. And the fact that Busquets wasn't, I don't know. I don't think Busquets was great yesterday. I think
he was not.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm glad I'm on the same page. I thought we were watching a different match, but Busquets was not great, to put it lightly. But Frankie and Dani Alves and the way that they covered for him in that in possession 3-4-3 that is then built was why Barca were able to get 3 goals in the first half, and Busquets was not was the worst player on the field for Barca, which is pretty incredible to say. And I think PK in the same way kind of found the game, and Barca were able. That's why they were on the front foot, and it really does come down to Alves. And I want to do same thing I did yesterday on the match review. And I'm going to redo this analogy if anybody watched that. But for me, Alves was a definition of fire. He was a definition of flame. He was a definition of this. I mean, in the fact that the reason I thought is he's an eternal flame. At 38, he's still burning so brightly, brighter than Mingueza and Dest and all the fullbacks you think that exist. He's still a legend of the game that still can do it. And whether it's delivering on the set pieces, actually defending João Felix, I almost out of the game as far as positionally. Not when Felix got into a 1v1 situation, but in terms of anticipating what Felix wanted to do, I thought Alves did exactly his job. But then, as you said, coming from the way he would step into the middle and then coming forward on that fourth goal, as you mentioned, yeah, it's just an awareness and understanding of where he needed to be when he needed to be there. But then obviously, just like a fire can get out of control. And it's that the give and take, the scale. I'd rather have the passion of Dani Alves, that intangible thing, that thing where he says, hey, we're going to win this game. Don't worry about this. We're going to win a big game. And it seems like Alves, more than Alba and Busquets and Piqué, and dare I say Messi, Alves has just that thing that says, we're going to get the W. It's fine. It's fine. And then he gets the red card because, again, flames burned too bright. It got too hot, and he clearly committed the foul. VAR easily. That one, the easy red card there. And so now he's gone. And then the oxygen, as what happens to a fire, right? That Atleti continued to take the oxygen out of the room. And the fire just kept on burning, and now it's a danger. Now it's no longer the thing that was controlled, the thing that was burning up Atletico Madrid. Now it's been inflicted on you. It's been inflicted on Barcelona because now they have 10 men. So it's a give and take where you take your chances when you play with fire. And Dani Alves was yesterday completely in fuego the entire time. And I think he encapsulated and summed up that match when anybody else did.
So that match is exactly why Xavi brought him back. I mean, let's be clear about that. I mean, he is. I hate saying using those old hackneyed things like knowing how to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he knows how to win, and it's hard to argue with that and he has his physical deficiencies, right? He can't run like he used to, can't do anything like he used to. But right, I mean, the one thing you never forget is it's that value of having been there, and he has been there in a way that Jordi Alba has not. All right, because I mean, Dani Alves was there when it was the mightiest football side anybody's ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't forget that. And I think that what Xavi wanted in bringing him back was that, right? That weird, as you said, that fire, that weird, intangible thing that people pick up on. But I also think that having a Adama Traore made all of that so much easier, right? Because I mean, once you have a player who, when he gets the ball, the other side goes, "Oh my God, he's got the ball!" That makes everybody's life simple, right? They can move, they can find the room they didn't have because suddenly you've got this one player, and he was just one player, but he sowed so much wreckage, you know?
Yeah.
It was a delight truly to watch. So I mean, I think that certainly the fullbacks, my issues with them are very clear. I mean, that first Atleti goal, what were he and Piqué doing?
Yeah, I think it was a bit more Piqué than it was Alba. Piqué was completely out of position. And then Jordi Alba, whenever he's stuck between two lines, right. And when Alba has to make a choice, he doesn't often defensively make the right choice. And somehow, I mean, he made Luis Suarez look like a sports car, which is just, again, a reminder that Luis Suarez is not, he is a pickup truck, Luis Suarez. He is not a Ferrari, you know? And so to see Luis Suarez off to the races, it's a rough one. It's a rough one. So, but yeah, you're right. That's what you're going to get with it. But I think to the Traore point, I want to transition to him a little bit here because you're right. Dani Alves, because he was not having to he didn't consider overlapping and he didn't have to because Pedri was shading so much to the right side to support Traore that when Traore did the same thing that you expected, you'd hope that a Xavi winger does, which Dukla, unfortunately, as I've said before, Abde did it in his first game as Espanyol and his second game as well, where he brought that second defender. They didn't know what he was and they were kind of figuring it out. But the minute that Abde was only getting one defender to him, it shut down Barca's attack. Same thing with Dukla. Jukla is only defended by one player. The right back slides out, or if he's playing in the middle, up through the middle, the right center back just kind of stays put with him and just tracks his runs, and that's what happens. But Abde, because he was constantly, I mean, Hermoso is going to have nightmares of the guy, especially in the first half at least, but he was constantly bringing over Savic. And because of that second defender, that meant that, I mean, it's all about, I mean, Xavi preaches this, it's all about those numerical advantages. And while it wasn't perfect, if you can get Atletico Madrid on their back heels and taking advantage of their defending, then you're certainly going to beat Atletico Madrid. Because there is space to be found once they are out of position, but they're very rarely out of position. And to the point with Alves too, he was not a right back yesterday. He was a number 8. Truly, if you watch where he was playing, if you watch where he was setting up, you've watched the way he was defending, and that's a credit to Traore too. It's one thing to lose the ball at midfield, which our dear friend Messi did, unfortunately, quite a few often in that final year. But it's one thing to lose the ball at midfield, which is something that even, again, like a Luke de Jong, when Barca is looking for a clearance and trying to get out of danger, and Luke de Jong has a heavy touch on that ball when he has his back to goal at midfield, that's much more damaging. Or again, the times that Busquets lost the ball yesterday are much, much more damaging than when Traore loses the ball 95 feet from his own goal. Because we remember the first goal that is scored happens because I think it was Traore who lost the ball, and then he and Pedri expertly shut things down, got it right back, and put it right back into the box to be finished. And so it's that press and how Adama Traore is used that's going to be significant. And and I think defensively on the press, that's actually where I was impressed, where I'm going to continue to give the warning that I can't get rid of the numbers. I mean, you know me here, right? The expected assists of 0.17, and he gets one yesterday. He had 0 assists this year for Wolves, right? So, I mean, he might get 5 assists.
That's why he's in Barcelona.
Right? He might get 5 assists for Barcelona this year. That would be really cool. But also, I want to set you up to understand he's going to defend like heck. He's going to press high up the field when possible. And so the thing that I was most impressed by was not the fact that he got the assist or the fact that he was even close to a goal. It was that Ferran Torres and Pedri understand fundamentally, whether it's because he grew up in La Masia or not, I don't know. I think it's a little overdone. But whatever it was, the three of them understood the spacing and pressure that needed to be put on that Atletico back line, where really only Koke was getting through them. The other players just were not getting through that pressure. And that was the most positive thing for me, because that means if he can fit in the team, that means whether he's a sub, that means when he's starting, he can at least do something. What does his worst game look like? And if he can understand how to press as a unit with Pedri and Ferran Torres, you're going to get something out of him. You're going to get some kind of positive something that Barca can use to capitalize on a game that they're going to barely get by 1-0 Celta de Vigo, or barely sneak by Granada 2-1. He can do something for you. And I think that's where I was positive, not about the sheer assists or goals or whatever.